Hey everyone, I just wanted to jump on very quickly and make this video because I know I've made a similar video when I started my WGU Masters, and it was dedicated to how I pre-gamed the degree prior to starting. And pre-gaming, if you're not familiar, is just a way to get the ball rolling before you're in the program, because a lot of the time with competency-based education, you can't really start the actual course until the first date of your program. For me, that's July 1st at South College, the Doctor of Education program. And so doing a little bit of pre-work can help you get momentum as well as just get work done prior to starting. Now, a lot of the times people pre-game by actually doing courses ahead of time. Maybe they do a course at a different institution or different organization where they can transfer it in. That's not what I'm talking about, but there are some steps that I am doing to gain some momentum, and I want to share that with you today. So these are the 3 steps that I am taking, and I will actually even show you. So the first thing that I had to do is I had to find out if the first course had a textbook. And in this case, it did. Of course, you can go and buy the textbook online, or there are ways through the actual South College that I can do that. However, always what I do is try to find out if I can get that book at a library in my local community or at my local university or a college. Because I'm a staff member at a university, I have access to the library at that institute. Or if you're alumni, you might have similar kind of affordances to the library. Now, if your library doesn't have the textbook or the book, you can always recommend it. At my institute, there's a whole section on making a recommendation for a purchase. And so you just have to fill out all the information, and then a librarian will generally look over it and see if they can purchase it. So that's step 1. Now I'm going to talk about just my foldering system very quickly and show you a bit about how I got that set up so that it made things a little bit more streamlined and organized before I started. So let me switch over to my share screen mode. So the first thing I did program was make sure I know what courses I'm taking. Now, I do find that the website is a little vague as to what the courses are. It might describe the general specialization. So I just searched in Google a past catalog. I didn't seem to find a current catalog. I know when you're in the program, there's a handbook and you have all that information. But if you're trying to find this online and you don't have access to that handbook because you aren't enrolled, then this is one way. And so you search catalog, Doctor of Education, South College. When I scroll down, then you can see that there's core courses and then there's specialized courses. Now, there are, I think, 5 specializations in this program. For example, you can see 2 of them: organizational leadership, higher education leadership. I believe there's one called educational leadership, teaching and learning, or adult learning and development, which is what I'm taking, and then a new one called instructional design and technology. So how it's done is, from what I understand, is you do 4 of those core curriculum courses, and then you don't do the research ones yet. Then you move on to the specialized courses, and then you go to finish the program with your methods course and then the dissertation course. The reason why I'm showing you this is I used it to help set up some folders. Now these folders I need to actually rename and I need to reorganize because they're not exactly in the right order. So 1 to 4 are in the right order, and then you would actually move on to your specialized courses. These specialized courses are for teaching and learning rather than adult learning and development. I just recently changed, so I have to update those folders. And then you'd move on to the research course and the dissertation. I've also included a folder for research articles. I might have subfolders in there if I need to organize them by topic. But as you're doing a doctoral degree, you need to be thinking about what is that final research study going to be about. Of course, you're going to need to write a literature review, so you want to collect those articles as you're stumbling into them or actively looking for them. There's another folder here, Other. That's just all the onboarding documents that I have and any generalized information about South College, and so I keep that there. You'll notice in that first course that's highlighted, there's 2 items. There's an assessments that I'm going to show you in a couple minutes here. And then if I find any relevant resources or articles or whatnot particular to that course and the course deliverables, then I'm going to put them into this specialized folder here called relevant resources. So before I show you what's in assessments, that document that I created, I set up a document to document any questions that arise in my mind and that I want to dispense before meeting with my program mentor. So from my understanding, students need to meet with their program mentor every single week as a policy for the first course or until they pass that first course. And then I believe they can alter that afterwards. And I think that's actually smart, just because I think if students can start off on a good foot, it's easier to do well. So in this case, I just have a couple questions that I asked today because I met with her for about 15 minutes. She is awesome. I'm very lucky because her and I have had some great conversations about competency-based education already. The whole point of this document is just to have a place that, if I want to go back in time and see what were those questions, what were the answers, or I need to verify some of those answers for my program mentor, they're going to all be there. The way this document is set up as a Google Doc is this sidebar. This is clickable so that I can be redirected. Now, one of the questions here, question number 2, asks about the program pacing guide, and everyone will have one at South College. But I do want to show a quick screen capture of this. I have to blur out some of the content because it does give away those key competencies that are learned in each course. But what you can see here is that the way this document works is you put in your program start date at the top, your projected goal or your completion date that you're aiming towards, and it will give you a bit of an estimation of when things need to be done by, and then you manually can put in when you finish them by. It does leave a lot of time at the end for the dissertation, and so this is all according to having like a whole term dedicated to that if someone is aiming to do this program in a year. Now, each course has, it looks like about 5, maybe 6 core competencies per course, and within each competency there are multiple assessments. And the reason why I'm showing you this is this helped me set up that document that I showed earlier that was in that course folder, and I just created this. No one told me I had to, but I'm going to be putting all my assessments and my work into one place per course. So in this case, this is the first course, and then how it works is that each competency has formative assessments, and they generally relate to that final summative assessment per competency. So you can see on the sidebar here, there would be one of those competencies might be leadership, blah, blah, whatever it's about. And then, there's a multiple formative. So maybe in this case, there might be 4. And then the summative are those final deliverables. And then you move on to the next competency. And what I've heard is that when you do upload your work, it is actually put into like a text box on the learning management platform. And so they say to have a separate document, something like a Google Doc, where you can have everything in a second spot. You just never know if maybe it's uploaded and then doesn't get uploaded properly. So it's good to have a backup. And also, this is really nice the way I've set it up. I can click on any of these spots and it can redirect me. This is just me scrolling down, and I'll have different placeholder for where I'm going to type in responses. And then, I'll create my own little titles. All right, so that's kind of how I'm getting myself set up and organized and started. It's not necessarily the pre-gaming tactics that I've mentioned in past WGU videos, but I think anything you can do to get yourself organized and prepared means that you can hit the ground running during that first week when you're able to get access to the courses. All right, if you've done something similar or your own way of getting started, feel free to share that below, and I will see you in another video.